The formal meeting in order, and I'll ask the General Manager to read out the live board.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The meeting is being live streamed and or recorded for on-demand viewing via Council's website. Attendance at the meeting is taken as consent by a person of their image and or voice being webcast. All speakers should refrain from making defamatory comments or releasing personal information about another individual without their consent. Council accepts no liability for any damage that may result from defamatory comments made by persons attending the meeting, or liability will rest with the individual who made the comments. The meeting must not be recorded by others without prior written consent of the council in accordance with the council's code of meeting practice. Council and staff are obligated to declare conflicts of interest as required under the Local Government Act 1993 and Council's adopted code of conduct. Councillors are reminded of their oath of office, whereby they have declared and affirmed that they will undertake the duties of the office of council in the best interest of the people of the Wentworth Shire and the Wentworth Shire Council, and that they will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretion vested in them under the Local Government Act and or any other act to the best of their ability and judgment. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Mr. General Manager. I'm now asking you to be upstanding for the government of the country and the breed. I'd like to pay my respect and acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we're meeting, and pay my respects to elders both past, present and future. We give thanks for this day and for the opportunity to work together. May we represent all members of our community fairly. We seek blessings on our meeting here today. Amen.
Amen.
No apologies and applications for the leave of absence. Councillor Hayes an apology. I'd just like to send him our best. He's laid up in the Mildura Private Hospital and hopefully home on the weekend.
Good. Move in a second.
Leave of absence.
I'll move it.
Councillor Allen, seconded Councillor Rutter. All in favour? Carried. Disclosures of interest. Councillor Chris.
At 9:21 on page 367, I have an interest in the showgrounds pavilion, and I work with the person who has a contract to take care of the bird problem.
Thank you. Councillor Nichols.
12.1 in confidential. It's the bowling club. I'm a long time fee paying member of the Wentworth Bowling Club, past president of both ladies and men's committees, and former licensee of with the liquor licence. So, and it may be perceived by others that I have an interest. So.
Move in a second of those. Councillor Linkmatter, Councillor Cooper. All in favour? Carried. Confirmation of the minutes from our previous meeting on the 16th of March, and then Councillor Nichols, seconded Councillor Rutter, open for discussion. Any discussion? All in favour? Carried. Going on item 6.1. Outstanding matters from previous meetings, any discussion? All in favour? Carried. 7.1 is
Move in a second.
I'll move it.
motion back to Councillor
Okay.
Nichols, seconded Councillor Rutter.
Thank you.
7.1 is the Mayor's report. I'll move that. Second, Councillor Linkmatter. Yes, Councillor.
Could you like to enlighten Council on March 22nd, the interview with Junction Island, and also the 30-31 of March meetings with Minister Saunders and Minister Anderson, please, on those two.
Certainly, March 22 was just an interview with the St Asia Daily in relation to reopening the new bridge. Things happening. March 30-31, we were on the back of an invitation from Central Darling Shire, who secured meetings with Minister Saunders, who's the Minister for Western Division and for Agriculture, and Minister Anderson, who's the new Water Minister, so Ken and myself went along. I found it pretty informative and I hope beneficial to council from the feedback, particularly from the Water Minister and where he sits in water things, which I will probably go into a bit of depth, perhaps in class.
Thank you.
And Minister Saunders is pretty good. I mean, we probably didn't have a lot to say apart from a discussion around, because he's agricultural minister, the ongoing planning point we always make about this viable agricultural land. So probably follow that up with the other moment.
Thank you. There's water I was interested in.
All right, all in favour? Carry. Reports from committees. 9.1 is the general manager's report. Recommendation there, we've got the mover. Councillor Beaumont, Councillor Later. Any discussion? All in favour? Carried. 9.2 is redevelopment of Wentworth Shire Civic Centre project update. Recommendation there, Linda please. Councillor Rutter, second Councillor Linklater, open for discussion, general manager may comment.
Pretty much the obvious question coming out of that report is when we're going to get the plans for endorsement for the tender process. I've got a meeting with Mr. Sparks from GSD Designs next Thursday, for which we will hope all the plans are brought together and we can finally sign off. It's all around the surfacing plans in terms of electrical and fire safety and other aspects. So I'm hoping to have final review of the plans next Thursday and then get them to the point of view of going to tender in mid-May.
General Manager on this side. Yes, it's the installation of the booster pump set. I don't like tanks in the car park for aesthetic reasons, but I know that that's been shared, but it looks like we definitely have no choice but to go to tanks.
Dare I say, Councillor Chris, I tried every endeavour I could possibly make to have the Darling River a source of water supply, but I was defeated by the fact of the water quality and the possibility of the sedimentation, what it might do to pumps and valves and hydrants and sprinklers and whatever else. So Mr. Gurdon from the Grand is aware of our preferred location. It's pretty much adjacent to the levee banks, close to Grand Resort. I thought it was preferential than having them straight out the back of the library or viewable from upstairs from the function area. So they're sort of the two closest car parks attached to the levee before you turn right to go adjacent and parallel to the levee from the Grand, basically, and it'll have a new supply line coming in from Darling's for East.
Thank you for trying.
So through the Mayor to the General Manager, the Grand Resort have access, or drivable access to the rear of the hotel there, so will the tanks impede that?
They'll be offset so that you can still access their rooms and indeed access up to our service area. So for catering purposes, vans need a parallel area between the Grand Resort and the levee bank so that you can get in and service the function area upstairs. So,
Anything else? All in favour? Carried. 9.3 is the 2022 National General Assembly of Local Government.
Recommendation.
Second that. Moved Councillor Nichols and seconded Councillor Chris. Council endorses the attendance of the Mayor and General Manager of the conference. Happy to go. A little bit reserved after attending the statement. Happy to go, Councillor Winston. All in favour? Carried. 9.4 is the Western Division of the Council's Conference. Recommendation there again. The Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Councillor Evans, General Manager,
So moved.
Councillor Chris, second Councillor Trotter. All in favour? Carried. The 2022 Murray Darling Basin Authority River Reflections Conference, 9.5. Recommendation of Councillor determines the attendees. Remove the second, Australia, but remove Councillor Linklater, second, Councillor Chris. Discussion. Will juror adjourn?
I think we should be represented there. And that's so it's
So
just
you're volunteering yourself, Councillor Chris?
look, yeah, okay. Look,
I'll move Councillor Chris.
it'll be interesting,
Guys.
but I might get thrown out.
Given it is local and there's no additional costs, I think we should open it to whoever's available to attend.
Yeah, I think I'll probably tend to agree with that, maybe split it up, because 2 days is plenty, particularly if you're working.
It's an interesting program.
And go, first, my interest would just be if we have a change of government. It'd be interesting to see how the Murray Darling Basin Authority are going to sit, or to, how they will sit with the new government. They are, if there's a change of government, there's some significant changes there. In particular, the 450 GL of extra water a year for South Australia. It'd be interesting to see whether the basin states will veto that, and then what they think will happen if they do veto it.
Well, I doubt, well, they would, it's 3 to 1, isn't it? At the state level. Right, so Councillor Chris definitely, anybody else most welcome.
Put my hand up for day 2.
Okay.
Trajan. Okay,
Keep in touch.
Is it something we can come back to you on?
Yeah, I'm sure we can, anyone that wants to attend, big year, enough, we'll be able to work here 3-4.5 days. All in favour? Carried. 9.6 is the representation of the Orlando Lakes World Heritage Area Advisory Committee. Recommendation there that Council nominates 2 representatives.
They called for 2 last time, and Jane and I both put our hands up, and Jane was chosen. But when you read through it, they're probably going to take one here again and one from Balranald, the way it reads. So.
Except you can say Balranald never got cancelled.
Hmm.
Balranald never got cancelled.
I'll remember later.
So they have an Australia sit on something.
Can't sit on everything.
So you can get on.
Oh, well, if nobody else wants to go, I'll put my hand up. It's fine. They might they might look at the name and say, "Oh God, here again." We just.
Still got to be accepted.
You've still got to be accepted. That's right.
Still got to be.
Yeah. So.
Just further recommendation.
Two it is, councillors.
Two it is. We have one,
It's an application process.
it's an application process, it's a ministerial appointment, and it's got to be accepted.
Accepted and appointed by
Brian?
Councillor Bowman, good?
I tell you what, if they toss me out again and you're in, Brian, watch out.
Thank you, Brian, that's,
Thanks,
Yeah.
Brian.
All right.
So,
Alright, all in favour?
Do second that, sorry.
get up.
Laura and Nick, Brian.
Councillor Ryder, councillor Lee.
Bit of argy-bargy out there too. Good luck.
And 9.7 is the Murray Darling Association Region 4 nominations. I think there is, we had three previously, including the chair's role. What did we have for?
Three.
Three. I know Councillor Hay was keen to continue, I've spoken to Councillor Evans, he's keen to represent us with that one. Yep. Yeah, I'm gonna suggest that perhaps myself and the deputy mayor also make ourselves available.
Sorry, Tim, I can't hear you.
Alright.
I shall do that.
So it's only Councillor Beaumont, but Councillor Hayward, Councillor Evans, or Councillor Hayward's last time, Councillor Evans has indicated a willingness on the current chair, so I've got to at least attend the first meeting. And I'm gonna suggest that Councillor Winboda is also part of it, so that we've got a bit of flexibility if, sure you can't be there, if one drops out or whatever. If we're happy with that? Yep. All in favour? Carry.
That was your number one, where you nominated the delegates to go in.
Oh, sorry.
Do you want to nominate?
Forgot about the second part. Well, on the current chair, Wentworth has had it for the last 3 years, and my understanding was it always should have been because there's Balranald, Central Ballan, Broken Hill, Mildura and ourselves. And my understanding was it would rotate, but because
No longer exists, central zone.
Okay,
no, we'll just leave it at that and say that, you know, I firmly believe that Balranald and Central Darling can't because they're in administration. It's got to be Broken Hill or Mildura's turn, and I believe Mildura's pretty keen to take it on.
okay.
So in terms of part two of that, we will not nominate, simple as that. All in favour?
You just moved on a second for that.
Well, form part of the same motion.
So, yeah, councillor Cooper and councillor Evans.
Right, 9.8, the monthly investment report, recommendation there, moving to seconded please. Councillor Wallace, seconded Councillor Chris. Any discussion? All in favour? Carried. 9.9 is the finance report, monthly finance report, council notes and, reviews and notes, monthly finance report. Linda, councillor Evans, councillor Bowman. Any discussion, councillor?
Just a question, we have one of our sporting clubs asking for reduction in their user fees. Is this going to cause precedent? Because we charge all our sporting clubs fees.
Yeah, there was policies where you allowed me the flexibility to, within $2,000, waive certain fees for certain organisations based on the code and how much use they had. So anything's got the risk of a precedent. Everything's sort of got to be decided on the parents as well.
I have no problem apart from that fact that I'm saying we've got a lot of sporting clubs on our grounds,
Yeah.
and yeah.
During COVID, it was a common occurrence.
The others? All in favour? Carried. 9.10, quarterly budget review. Council approves the variations to the 21-22 operation plan, move councillor Nichols, seconded councillor Leckbrader. Any questions? All in favour? Carried. Okay, 9.11, delivery program progress update. Recommendation there that council receives a notice of quarterly progress update on the operational plan. Mover. Councillor Roddo, second councillor Nichols. Any discussion? All in favour? Carried. 9.12, community strategic plan. The recommendations that council endorses the draft community strategic plan will be placed on public exhibition for a period of 28 days. Moved councillor Evans, second councillor Roddo. Discussion in the briefing. Councillors are welcome to make any suggestions they like as part of that community consultation. All in favour? Carried. Point 13 is the policy review for the Department of Finance policy. The recommendation is that council adopt the following revised policies, being the rates, very conservative policy, the capital contributions towards community facilities policy, asset accounting policy, the street schools and travel standards policy. Again, mover councillor Roddo, second councillor Nichols.
Mr Mayor, on page 183, we also state that GOV 018, Code of Meeting Practice, should be, it's recommended this policy be adopted, but it's not in this group. So do you want that added?
It's an attachment, but not in there.
As far as that's the second.
That's the second
round,
round,
yeah,
council following the
that's
completion
it.
of public exhibition period there being sufficient code of meeting practice
You
be adopted
Right.
just below D.
well, it says GOV 018,
Oh, sorry.
Code of
That
Meeting.
council following the completion of the
Oh,
public
yep.
exhibition
Okay,
period.
yep.
And there being no submissions
yep.
that we then adopt, so
Okay,
we would be moving.
so that's in there with it.
moving
sorry.
the documents in there.
Yep.
All in favour? You got a question?
I do, sorry, Mr Mayor. So just in regards to the street stalls and raffle stands policy, as per previous conversation in changing that, so can we actually adopt that policy without?
Yeah, you adopt it subject to the suggested amendments that I spoke about.
Okay, beautiful, then I'm happy, thank you.
All in favour? Carried. 9.14 is the appointment of the audit risk and improvement committee members.
Happy to move.
We have a recommendation there from A to E, move councillor Chris.
I'd like to move and
Hang on, I'll get a seconder first. Councillor Leckbrader, yep, go for it.
I'd like to amend the recommendation, which is to do with, under the recommendation section D, and amend that Roseanne Carver be appointed as the interim chair.
Isn't that sort of part of it that we resolved to confidential?
Who is sharing?
Yes.
Who's sharing?
Fair reason that the name is conserved.
This is two options.
There's two options. So you'd like to amend that, that was heard by yourself, so you happy, the second happy with that?
I'm happy.
Just to speak to the amendment briefly, of the two candidates, I favour Roseanne Carver because of her experience in New South Wales and establishing a committee with a view to New South Wales compliance from the work of Balramald.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that, not exactly that basis. A little bit of experience, given that it's something new to us, but someone that's had a bit of experience, but it's a good guy.
I mean, I've spoken to Roseanne, she said she's more than happy to assist us through this process, so can't see that being an issue at this point in time.
Very good. All right, now I guess we need to appoint a councillor. There's a bit of a criteria on that, I think we just take it off it, some of this stuff may be a bit. I'm going to make a suggestion from the point of view of what I would like to see, and that would be the deputy mayor. On the basis that the mayor can't, as we meet weekly, if there's any internal issues or anything that the committee may report, we'll sort of at it fairly quickly if the deputy mayor is willing. That's me, I would like to nominate him, which I think I can do. Mr. G.
Seconded.
Thank you, Councillor Welling. So, in that case, we will just go back to E, Councillor Westlater. Any objections?
Well, no, not objection, but I was thinking that I would probably put my name up as well.
Okay. Don't object to that, your preference. So I don't object to you
No,
putting your name up, but my preference purely from that point of view of the weekly discussion.
so,
I'd like to see the deputy mayor.
okay. So, in terms of the criteria, which, sorry, I've lost the lens out of my glasses. Yeah, so, oh, well, look, as I say, I was, prepared to put my name up for that. I suppose I'd like to be considered.
If you'd like to put
Just to
your
go
name
from
up,
there,
I'll second.
another better.
Right. Just to make it interesting. Because you've got a background in finance. Look, reading.
I have a background in business administration, contracts management, human resources, and function and compliance auditing.
Okay.
I'm happy
Councillor
to.
Westlater, would you like to give a rundown on those criteria that you would like to see?
Look, you've expressed your preference, but I don't have an overwhelming desire to
Okay.
necessarily be there. So if Councillor Beaumont considers that he'd be a good fit, then I'm not going to argue the point. My background is in financial and business management. And I don't think any of us, as you suggested, would tick all the criteria. So
I'm more than happy with that, I was just.
Happy for it to go to a vote. if
It's a
that's,
weekly meeting, but on the other token, if there's something important, there's no reason why you found me on the phone when you come into that weekly meeting.
I think structurally your suggestion has a lot of merit, but as I say, rather than debate a amendment motion. If Brian doesn't wish to withdraw his nomination, then I'll support his. Yes. Withdraw my own.
I'm feeling you'd prefer that.
I'm quite happy with just the simplicity of we're together every Tuesday. On the phone every second day, just on general stuff. But I'm fine. No dramas at all.
So what are you? What's the resolution?
The resolution is A, B, C remain unchanged. D goes to the Roseanne Carver appointed to be the interim chair, and E becomes Councillor Brian Beaumont to be the nominated councillor.
Conditionally moved by Councillor Chris, seconded by yourself, until we went to amend D, which was then seconded by
Councillor Nichols.
To second Brian.
So we need to approve the amendment and then we can go back to the original. Or sorry, then that will become the new recommendation.
We hadn't voted, we hadn't voted for
We
it, I
haven't
think.
voted, we're at the stage we're trying to work out who's moved and seconded.
So you suggested Daniel, I seconded it.
Yeah.
Brian put himself forth, Sue seconded that.
Probably councillor,
It's Councillor Linklater withdrawn.
councillor Linklater is withdrawn.
Well, only leaves one, so then you vote on it.
Councillor Chris and councillor.
Makes it easier for you, Mr. Mayor. I'll withdraw.
No, we're there, Brian.
I don't want to withdraw.
No, you indicated your preference.
There was a preference from
Yeah,
my perspective, I have absolutely no problem doing it, and I'm.
Just trying to recollect our meeting procedure.
Very, very good.
Yeah,
Who is this?
we have resolved, we've just got to get the process documented.
You're already, we just got to work out, I'm pretty sure it's Chris and Nichols, is that right? Yeah.
That'll do.
Yes.
So we have a mover agreeing with D being Roseanne Carver and E being Councillor Beaumont. Mover was Councillor Chris. Yes. You're in agreement with that?
I am.
Seconded was Councillor Rodder.
No.
Nichols.
Councillor Nichols.
And so we're all agreed?
All in favour?
Yes.
Carried.
Well, that-
Nine point 15 is approval for the mayor GM. You sign the revised loan documentation in relation to.
Move it with a question.
Move councillor Nichols, seconded councillor Rodder, question councillor Nichols.
You've already spoken to the National Bank. They've agreed for the extra 3 million. At what terms? Are they the same as the original terms, or is there a difference?
Be slightly different, but not by a huge amount. It's about 2%. So I think we got a better deal this time round. The rates are actually slightly lower. So the first one was about 2.26. This one's just under 2 for the next 5 years. So
That's good. That sounds good. That sounds fine. So pity you couldn't get the 2.26 down to just under 2 too.
that was because that was set 12 months ago. There's not much I can do about that, unfortunately.
Oh dear.
I tried, but
No, that's good.
Okay. Any other debate? All in favour? 9.16 is the Health and Planning Department policy review, particular radioactive waste policy, the swimming pool safety policy, and native lands policy. Have a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Beaumont, Councillor Chris. Any discussion? Councillor Rodder.
So I know in regards to the radioactive waste policy, even though it's not proposed to store radioactive waste, I wanted to make sure that councillors were aware of the proposal to locate a hazardous waste facility which will store chemical hazardous materials 45 kilometres out of Broken Hill. Tell us that most likely those materials will be moving through our shire.
Oh,
If you're not aware of it, then
what,
Read something about that a week ago.
what rights do we have, Joe, do you know?
well, I don't know that we have any. If the Broken Hill Council approve that that proposal, then that waste will move through on transport and rail through to through our shire.
That could be.
As part of this policy is that we strongly propose to establish any facility that stores
Yep.
any stuff going through, I think I know.
Well, the proposal categorically states there'll be no radioactive material stored within that facility, but there will be chemical hazardous material. So I think we need to be aware of the movement of that material through the shire.
Any other? All in favour? Carried. 9.17 is the delegated authority approvals at the end of March. A little bit of discussion again in the briefing. Another leader and a seconder. Councillor Rowe, Councillor Bowman. Question, Councillor Nichols.
Yes, please. You say there that we've got the 12 term adapted development applications under delegations. Did anybody else add up the figures? Because I added up, didn't add up to the figure that we've got. I don't know if it's right or
You've got
not.
16 there, and you've got 12 DAs and 4 modifications.
Okay. So just add the figures, we just see if they add up to what is there, please.
Oh, you made the money.
I mean the money, not the numbers, the money.
Too big a number for me to add up.
If I may, Mr. Mayor,
Yeah,
as in for that month.
yeah. I don't know, you might have to press it up to that.
No problem.
Perhaps we get that checked in the end.
Yeah, it can go on with, just check it later, please, if you will.
Any other queries? All in favour? Carried. Dana division, all in favour, hands up please. Yep, unanimous. 9.18 is the Australian Land Botanic Gardens Heritage Request, it's a recommendation there. Councillor Roller and Councillor Link favour, any discussion? You would all support that?
Yes, I think it's entirely appropriate that we acknowledge the heritage value and the fact the assessment has been done by someone with as much experience as Vic Eddy is quite appropriate that we support the motion.
Thank you, Councillor. All in favour? Carried, division, unanimous.
Now we're fine, because someone will probably poison the bloody thing.
9.19.
It's a survivor suit.
The flood risk management project is a recommendation there, the council resolves to advise a busy short form consultant. Agreement is downloaded in accordance with clause 15 of the agreement, can I have a mover and a second?
I move it,
Councillor Nichols and Councillor
and
Ryan.
can we have a point to that, please, and ask 2B and request all data related to the program be provided back to council?
Request.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, we can make the request, whether they give it to us is another story.
So,
We've paid for it.
We have, I do have the contract here. It's very ambiguous on intellectual property and what's intellectual property and what's data that we pay for and things like that. So, I guess the reason why we're seeking this particular resolution is we've had recent online meetings with officers from the Department of Planning and Biodiversity Conservation, whereby we're in the process of applying for grant funding to do entirely new flood studies. The good thing about that, I know it sets the project back to square one, but what it does is this council is considered a high-risk area, and the government may actually give us a contribution of up to $7 to $1. So it's like a 70% of the cost up to, we could be 40%, 60%, but it could be up to 70%. And that includes project manager and all sorts of things.
So you're saying that they're not going to be happy when we cancel?
Essentially, yeah, I mean, this has been ongoing for a long time, and we've made repeated requests for information and updates and things like this, and at this time, they haven't,
I still put it there that we ask for it. If they don't give it back to us, well.
I've just got a couple of comments, probably more than anything. My father saying, it could be sort of called a short form consultancy agreement in July 2015, and 7 years later it's not finished, and now we're saying we're going to cancel and go back to square one. This is exactly the type of thing that is going to absolutely murder the development on our side of the river because of this bureaucracy and crap which we've been through with the agricultural values, valuable land, and how do you call a short form consultancy? Where is the fault in terms of have we not done something right? I mean, short term, I would have thought you'd be doing something in 12 months, wait 7 years and then go back to square one.
so
It's just a joke.
Council haven't done anything wrong. We've worked with Vision as best we can. And in the project scope, which I've got a copy of here, we're only up to we're up to 2.2 or 3.5. And that's taken us the better part of 5 to 7 years to get there. And that's only a draft flood study. It's not even a flood risk management plan or anything else we've got to do. And we don't have a flood risk management committee at this point in time either.
And we can't move on until we've got it.
Correct.
In terms of anything you can. So is there any indication how long this one's going to take?
Not until we go through the grant funding application and they appoint the scope of works and things like that. We wouldn't know at this point in time. We'd hope to get a lot faster than what it has been originally. We're hoping we can at least have a draft study done within 12 to 18 months, and then the documents would then flow on from that.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, is this going to involve a termination fee before you put it up to them?
Sorry.
Will it involve a termination fee of their contract?
They're incomplete
I'd have to
works or
have a contract with the contractor file to take that on notice.
might be one for the legal doing that. Would be no.
Well, should we be deferring it until you such as
The termination clause is just if we give them the 30 days notice.
This company's been very non-responsive for 7 years. We've asked them to deliver on X, Y, and Z on many milestones. And we're just at the end of our tether where we've decided that as an officer level, we'd be better off just severing ties and getting finance.
No, I'm not arguing with it, I'm just probably 5 years too late, that's all. Let something drag on for 7 years to have to go back to square one, I mean, it's just bureaucracy at its best.
Perhaps optimistically, this is to the general manager. Perhaps we're not going back to square one. We should have a lot of what the failed consultants have done was data that probably came from here. So should have some data sets to feed into the new contractor, which sort of speeds things up, I would hope.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Matthew, wasn't one of the concerns from the Department of Environment. Wasn't there concerns with the program they were using?
Correct. So you'll probably note in the report that one of the reasons why we're looking at this change of thing is the model, the RMA2 model being used by Vision is outdated, and biodiversity, conservation, SES, and the agencies that help with this stuff, I do have concerns with the modeling that they're using for the flood study. Their preferred program is something called TwoFlow. I'm not familiar with it. And that's the data set, and that's the one that's actually used by all agencies and considered to be the most accurate data model, whereas the current, under the current contract, Vizion are using an older model with an older data set, which may not be as accurate. So when all this is done and dusted, and say we were to proceed with Vizion, we may be giving people in residential or commercial areas, in those flood-prone areas, maybe misguided information, and to say if a flood does come, then we're liable because we've given advice based on outdated data. It is concerning.
If I can, it says there that a final draft was submitted to council in July last year. Is that the copy of the aged document?
So that draft study done last year was, it was submitted to us after much sort of begging and pleading with them to at least get us to that. That was sent off to the department for endorsement, and that's when they started raising their concerns about the quality of the information in the report.
So you pick the wrong people, don't we?
I think given what we've been told about the model that's being used by authorities, they've got to tick off anything we want to do on the floodplain. We have to be speaking the same language with them, otherwise we'll just go and keep going in circles. So I think we need to cut our losses and start again.
So we're going to terminate the long form consultancy agreement.
Down the short form, they real long form.
You're all right, you're right to see it, Tim.
Okay, recommendation with an amendment made to it. We're quite confident there's no penalty clauses.
Not that I can see in here.
Yeah, so the member was councillor
I moved.
Jules and sent it to councillor Rodder. We request that our information be given back, hope it does. All in favour? Carried. 9.2 is a policy review of Department of Roads and Engineering. The recommendation that we adopt the blank replacement policy, the private works policy and the street trees policy. Move it please. Councillor Cooper, Councillor Evans. Any comment? Councillor Rodder.
Just wondered if there was any opportunity to increase the list of trees. There's some others that could be included quite easily on that list. How long since that list has been reviewed?
Point of operating
2009, where we engaged with Essential Energy at the time to come up with some ideas around our lines and use some of the pieces. So
Well, what would you like to say, councillor?
Oh, it was just really a question, Mr Mayor. I'm happy to support the recommendation. I just wanted some information on how long ago that list was actually reviewed.
2009 is the answer to your question based on the document number. Just we're in a cycle of reviewing all policies, so if you see fit to adopt this one tonight and have further input and have it further considered, well, that's an opportunity to do that.
Yeah, I would like to see an updated tree species list.
Okay. Any others? All in favour? Carried. 9.21 is the project and works report update. recommendation there, councillor Williams. Alright, recommendation, by councillor Cooper, seconded by councillor Evans. Any discussion, again, a little bit of brief discussion in the briefing, any other discussion? All in favour? Carried. Okay, thanks, notice of the motion of questions about notice. We go around, councillor Evans, comments?
Pretty good, thank you.
Councillor Beaumont?
No, I submitted my questions earlier in the day in writing, they've all been answered. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Excuse me, Mr Mayor, just through you. I seem to have missed out on that email again, Brian. Did you send it to all councillors?
I sent the answers back.
Oh, so, but you didn't CC all councillors in?
No, not in the, I
Question.
actually thought that the questions might have been tabled to here now, but they were answered by email through the day, which provided the answers I was after, which was fine, and that was circulated by the General Manager.
To all councillors, so I don't mind if they're duplicated here at the moment, but I was just trying to sort of
Yeah,
share
no,
it with
that's
everyone
fine.
so that your questions
Yeah.
would be
Yep.
secondly.
Yeah, no, that was fine with me.
So there's an email somewhere with Brian.
Yeah, I've seen the email, I just presumed that it had gone to all councillors and I'd been left off that list again.
Sharing the answers with you, so this discussion would sort of happen, I guess.
Thank you, councillor Cooper.
All good, thank you.
Councillor Chris?
First Anzac Day service at Denton since 1999.
Awesome.
Yeah, good. Councillor. Oh, it will be. Is that what you said?
Yeah, will be.
Yeah, we'll
Sorry,
Yes.
yes, I didn't know that. Councillor Linklater?
No further questions?
Councillor Wright? Good, councillor Nichols? Okay, thank you. So we will move into close, councillor Evans, would you like to do the honours?
I move the council adjourns into closed session and recording of the meeting be suspended. Members of the press and public be excluded from the closed session and that access to the correspondence and reports relating to the items considered during the course of the closed session be withheld unless declassified by separate resolution.
Thanks, seconder, councillor, all in favour? Thank you to the gallery. Councillor, second, Cooper, all in favour? You ready, Simon? Thank you, Ken.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. In relation to the closed session of the council this evening, I'd like to report back in item 12.1 that council contributed $5,813 towards the rectification works to meet Bowls Victoria accreditation, and they did not accept the committed amount of $25,637 from the Wentworth Bowling Club, allowing those funds to be used by the club to achieve their desired accreditation. In relation to item 12.2, Peregrine Mineral Sands, BMAX Resources, that council acknowledge in relation to Wentworth Shire Council versus BMAX Resources Limited, now currently Triumphs Mining Australia Limited, accepts the terms of the proposal and will pay costs of $477,768.89, and we advise the acceptance of that through our legal team, Marsden's Law Group. In relation to item 12.3, that matter be deferred pending further consideration of the tender amount. In relation to 12.4, the plant replacement for plant item 519 and 902, recommended and resolved that council accepts the tender from Johnson's Truck for the supply of 2 UD CW 25360s for the sum of $696,958 including GST, and accept the trade-in price of $70,000 including GST for council owned 2008 Flowcon water tanker, plant item 519, and $5,500 including GST for council owned 1993 Ford water tanker, plant item 902. With a total changeover price of $621,458 including GST. In relation to 12.5, the spray bitumen surfacing contract, it was resolved that council, in accordance with the provision of the Local Government General Regulation 2005, section 178(1), accept the tender from Final Surfacing to carry out the works as specified in contract PT 2122/08. In accordance with the submitted schedule of rates for a period of 3 years with the option to extend for a further 1+1 year period, and authorises the Mayor and myself, the General Manager, to sign the contract documentation. Consideration of item 12.6, the Fincari-Menindee Road reconstruction plant hire tenders. It was resolved that council, in accordance with the provisions of Local Government General Regulation 2005, section 178(1)A, award the following tenders authorising the use of contractors in accordance with their hourly rates as nominated. BT 212209, a water truck hire, awarded to Bot Civil Earth Moving for $100 an hour, and Bell Hunter Enterprises also for $100 an hour. In relation to BT 2122/10, electric planers Earth hire rate, awarded to Bot Civil Earth Moving for $250 an hour, or a larger but for an 18 cubic metre machine or 23 cubic metre machine at $350 an hour. In relation to PT 2122/11, a padwood roller, Garraway's Earth Moving has been awarded that for $39.60 an hour. In relation to PT 2122/12, trip truck and super dog combination hire rates, GBM Consulting be awarded to have 3 machines at $165 an hour, Bot Civil Earth Moving at 25-tonne machine for $120 an hour, Martin Earthworks at 28-tonne machine for $145 an hour, Mallee Earth Moving and Excavation 34-tonne machine for $200 an hour. In relation to item 12.7, the Old Wentworth Road supply and delivery of road-based material, it was resolved that council, in accordance with the provisions of the Local Government General Regulation 2005, section 178(1), accepts the tender from Mallee Quarries Limited to undertake the supply and delivery of 29,000 tonnes of pug-dirty metal road-based for contract PT 2122/13 in an amount of $579,942 including GST, and authorises the Mayor and myself, the General Manager, to sign the contract documentation and affix the council seal. In relation to item 12.8, the Punt Road reconstruction, it was resolved that council, in accordance with the provision of the Local Government General Regulation 2005, section 178(1), accepts the tender from KW Earth Moving Proprietary Limited and subsequently authorise the Mayor and myself, the General Manager, to sign the contract documentation and fix the seal for the recommended contractor to carry out the work specified for PT 2122/14 for a price of $216,244, including GST. That concludes the business in closed council. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr General Manager. Thank you, councillors, for your attendance. Next meeting is the 8th of May 2022. Councillor Wright has the question.
Point. So just on page 41, I missed it earlier. So the upcoming events, conferences or committee meetings, the Wentworth Shire interagency group meetings not included on that list, Gail.
Done for you. Thank you, councillors.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.